So the first thing to ask yourself is, do you deserve to build your email list? So the first thing to do, I don't care where you're at on your list, but especially if you're under 2,000, please write an ebook, okay? Write something that is of intense value to your law firm. So I'll show you how we did this. One of the best things I ever did was when COVID-19 hit, I decided, when COVID-19 hit, a lot of people were distracted because of COVID-19 by, the panic around COVID-19. And all of my competitors were worried about, whatever the hell they were worried about. And instead of me going and gossiping about COVID-19, I locked myself in my office and I wrote a book called How Should Lawyers Respond to Coronavirus with Their Marketing? So I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do this. Okay. And it's smbteam.com/coronavirus. This took me about maybe an hour and a half to write. It was the day lockdown was announced in the United States. I wrote this book. I put it on a simple landing page. I sent it out to a small email list. I had like 600 contacts at the time. And since it was so valuable, it got shared and I got like so many people to share it with others. And then what happened was I spun this into a webinar series, which happens on Tuesdays, which you're part of right now. This is our boot camp. But I spun it into what's called the Lawyer Mastermind webinar series, which happens now on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. The point is this, is I took a trending topic, right? I was a first mover. I sent it to my email list. It was of such interest that it got shared, right? And shared to other attorneys that ended up like tripling my email list. Then what I did was I partnered with thought leaders. Actually, maybe I could find this for you to show you the exact stuff. So I partnered with thought leaders on my first ever webinar in history. And I took that book and I turned it into a talk show, right? And you'll see where I'm going with this in a second. So I'll show you the numbers from our first events. So you can see in here, okay, say yes in the chat if you can see my screen right here. If you can see my Eventbrite, this is the back end of our events that we run. Just say yes in the chat if you can see this, just so I can. Okay, good, beautiful, awesome. Okay, so this is basically what I did. I took this lead magnet, which got massive traction in the market. I did a very small Facebook ads campaign. I spent maybe $500 on it. The cost to get a lead with a trending topic like this was like, it was like $2 or $3. It was nothing. It was so minuscule that it was like I was spending like a couple dollars per email, right? But I knew they were lawyers because the word lawyer was in the name of the book, right? So then the point is, on Eventbrite, I then took the audience I had built from that book I wrote and I turned it into the what's now called the Lawyer Mastermind webinar series. But that at the time, it was called the Lawyer Coronavirus Mastermind. Does anyone remember this when I first launched this? And you probably were like, what the hell is this? Because, I launched this and it was so timely and it was such a good product market fit because lawyers were at home. People were confused. They wanted to hear from people who, knew what they were talking about, and voila, you get an email, you get ads for an event that perfectly solves that need, right? So this has been the #1 builder of our email list. The event, not the books, right? The event has been the #1 net grower of our email list. So embedded within this is a sincere, genuine, heartfelt desire to help people. Okay. So the unfortunate truth is the more you're being salesy and not actually helping people at the end of the day, it's going to be tremendously harder and more expensive to build an email list. So regardless of whatever practice area you're in, the most important thing to think through is if you could spend, and you're already an expert, okay? So this doesn't have to be a 5-month project to write a book. I would open up a Word document. I'll show you exactly how I did this for myself. I'll show you the exact template I used to write my coronavirus one pager. Okay. This is literally all I did. I opened up a Word document. Okay. And I said, how can I really help people right now? And the book was called How Should Business Owners Respond to Coronavirus with Their Marketing? And then I said, I wrote this, what is it? 1, 2, 3 pages. It was like 3 pages, single space, 2.5 pages, single space. I forwarded this to Emily on my marketing team. She created a image, right, of the title of the book. She created an opt-in page, and then that's how we captured the leads, was from this opt-in page right here, which we use ClickFunnels to build. Okay. So it's really that simple. And so the first thing, if you want to build your email list is, and you don't want to spend $50,000 doing it, then you got to use sweat equity and you got to use heart equity, right? Meaning you got to write something that's actually going to help your target market. Okay. So Terry has a good question. Terry just said, if you're giving the ebook away and the mastermind, how do you monetize your efforts? That is a brilliant, amazing point. Okay. And I just want to make a point. Terry, thank you so much for asking that. Terry just said, if you're giving away the ebook and the mastermind for free, how do you monetize your efforts? And this is something I had to wrap my head around in the early stages. At some point, you're going to create ebooks. You're going to create helpful stuff. Maybe you'll start a talk show like I did for your niche, for your industry, creating a movement in your local market. You very well might do that. That's great. However, don't focus on the monetization too early. Focus on providing such overwhelming value that people ask about what you do. So what I did with this is when I first started the Mastermind series, what I did here was I actually ended up holding these events for quite some time before I even found ways to monetize. So you can see here, our first event was featuring, Mike Mogul, Tyson Mutrix, Ken Hardison. And what we were doing was we were helping each other build our audiences by doing email list sharing. So one of the most powerful things you could ever do in your industry, one of the most powerful things you could ever do in your industry, I'm going to just stop sharing for a second to tell you this. The best way to build your email list is to find someone else who already has a big email list and join forces with them. That is the best way to, hands down, build an email list, is to join forces, okay, with someone who already has a big email list, okay? So for example, in estate planning, you would want to find, perhaps, someone on the insurance side that has a big email list, or you'd want to find someone who serves high net worth individuals and you'd want to partner and start becoming a thought leader in that niche. For personal injury, you wouldn't want to be too focused on, stuff like, finding someone who has an injured a list of people who are likely to get injured in a car. It's not going to exist, but you'd want to find someone who has a big local list, meaning if you serve the Philadelphia area, you'd want to join forces with maybe like a comedian or someone who has a big social media following, and you'd want to join forces, even if you have to pay them, okay? Join forces so that they shoot you out to their email list, you give their email list something of value, and then you get people to opt into your email list in exchange.